Hi y'all, my name is Nicole. Thank you for tuning into my channel or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you guys a video on something I saw on TikTok, and it is about toxic things that my ex did and I stayed. So let's get this trend started. So first I'm going to start this trend off by giving you some information about me and my ex's relationship. So we actually had dated for several years during college. We were together for about 4 years, very on and off relationship. And I didn't really realize how toxic it was until like towards the end of it. It started off pretty nice and pretty good. And then it turned into something that I couldn't stay in anymore and didn't realize how bad it was until later on. And I also feel like too that was one of my first relationships also that was more serious at the time. But now I realize that, it just wasn't anything that I should have been in at that time anymore. I definitely am happier now without this person, so yeah, and now they're actually married, or they have a fiance at this point. But let's get started. So number one on my list is made me sit on a different couch whenever I go visit him. So he lived in a different city than me, and I would spend the weekends with him and his family when we were in college. He lived at home during the weekends, and I would drive like an hour or two to go see him during the weekends. They had like a little basement downstairs that we would go watch movies during the day or TV shows together, and they had two couches, like one on each side, and he almost always had me sit on a different couch most of the time. So that was really not fun. Number two is he never met my friends more than once or twice, and we were together for 4 years. Never realized how weird that was, but I guess he was just manipulating me. Number three is that he never let me eat a full cookie or a dessert when we were together, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, I know that him and his family were really into, like, health and fitness, but I thought that was kind of weird that we were always splitting things, and I was very thin at the time. I was literally, like, just barely over 100 pounds in college, so yeah. It just sounds like he just wanted to control me or something with the situation, so yeah. So the next on the list is we broke up during the middle of a blizzard, and this is when I was actually visiting him in the city that he lives in. And yeah, so I actually had to call my sister. It was also in the middle of the night, which sucked too. So I actually called my sister up and I said, hey, I was crying my eyes out, and I said, hey, can I come stay with you? So I had to drive like several hours to go see my sister and stay with her that night. And then we ended up reuniting after that. Of course, that's how it works, right? But my sister was so mad about the situation, and honestly, I wish that we could have just talked it out. It wasn't anything major, but we had so many issues with communicating in that relationship that it was just really not meant to work out. So the next thing on my list is stop talking to me in the full weekend occasionally. So it was very hard because he had a lot of communication issues, especially with me, and I'm not perfect either. But I would constantly say the same thing over and over again, like saying, hey, can you at least like talk to me and let me know like if you're going to be busy, or at least like check in with me like throughout the day. Like if you're on vacation or with friends, I would just rather know so I'm not worrying and wondering where we stand and how you're doing, because we're dating. I should know like where you're doing and if you're okay and if we're okay. So yeah, that was definitely not fun, and I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that anymore. And then next is he was constantly snapping other girls, and they were just his friends. And I think some of them were, but it was still kind of annoying. So it was kind of like emotionally cheating, I guess, now that I think about it back in the day. But also, next on my list is we broke up countless times, and instead of communicating, like that was his major issue. Like, I don't even remember how many times we actually broke up is the problem, because it happened so many times during the 4 years, and we also dated other people in between too. And yeah, so it just really made it terrible. And speaking about that, getting back together, making up, breaking up, that cycle, I was in a sorority and he was in a fraternity on campus, and we were dating for quite a while and making up and breaking up. Everyone was aware of this. We were all had like close friends in the circle. And when we broke up one of the times, he ended up hooking up with one of the girls in my sorority. And then we ended up getting back together again. I found that out later though, so yeah, that's fun. And then he also, one thing too is I was really into like study abroad programs. So when we actually got together, I recently had been studying abroad in Mexico, and he knew that I was really into it, and he thought it was really cool when we first got together. But then when we actually had an opportunity for me to go on another trip, he was just not into it. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, because I got accepted to a program to go to Argentina. My professors in my Spanish program wanted me to go, and I had applied for it and wasn't sure if I was going to get accepted. And I got accepted to go, and then he told me, because it was for a semester, and this would have been the first time that we were together during, when I was actually studying abroad. And he told me that, if I go on this program, that we would be over with. And I'm like, he was just really mad that I didn't talk to him about it, and I wasn't really sure how it worked because, I have never had that happen. Like, I've never been in a relationship when I went on my other trip. I guess I didn't think about it, so I apologized. And then what had happened was, I ended up decided not going on this trip to Argentina because he was pushing back on it so much. But I felt like I was just holding myself back, and I guess that's exactly what was happening because I was hanging on to a relationship that was obviously just not serving me anymore. But what ended up happening was after that point, I just felt really awful that he was saying that. And it's like, well, I don't think that's your. I do understand that maybe I should talk to him about it because we were together, but we weren't even together long enough at that point for. It was like several months. Like, it wasn't like a long time where I was like, it wasn't like we were planning on getting married. You know what I mean? We were not that serious. We're not living together. We were just starting to get things off the ground. And maybe that should just broke it off there. But yeah, so I ended up feeling really bad about the situation, and then I ended up deciding to just apply for another program because obviously that's what I wanted to do. So I applied for a program that was even longer, and it was in London, England. So I ended up going, and then we ended up breaking up again. So, but we ended up getting back together again. Shocker. But yeah, so he was just kind of holding me back from my dreams, I felt like, a lot of the time. And I feel like maybe we were just really not good for each other, too. And I was also really immature in this situation because I didn't have a lot of experience. So I do say that, too. That I definitely had some, and I also was going through the death of my dad and processing that, too. So there was probably a lot of toxicity in this connection in general. We were just not fit for each other. So this is just for talking about. Anyway, next on the list is I let him use my car because he ended up getting into an accident. So with his car, he totaled his car, and he was in school with me, and we had an extra car in our family, so I decided to ask my family if it was okay if I could let him borrow my car, and then I was just going to borrow my mom's car during that time, and they said sure. So I ended up using it, and then when I actually got it back, like I think it was like a couple weeks later, because I gave him some extra time to get a new car, and I didn't want him to pay for like a rental with him and his family. You know what I mean? Because we had the extra vehicle. I was just trying to be nice, good girlfriend, and so I ended up finding out that when he was using my car, he got a ticket, like a citation, and it was stuffed in my glove box, and I didn't know anything about this. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this isn't from me, like I don't have any tickets. And I looked at it, and it was from him when he used the vehicle, and it was not paid off. He never told me about it, so I ended up having to pay it off myself. Yay, man. Yeah, so I definitely learned a lot about red flags during this relationship. But the thing is, though, I honestly think that we were meant to be together for a short period of time. And him and his family were really nice too, and his friends. We had a lot of mutual friends, but I think it definitely ran its course and just got really toxic, unfortunately. So, yeah. Next, oh, this is another one. This is the big one, the final one, a long one. After we broke up and made up a bajillion times, okay, what ended up happening was he was telling me that he was ready to settle down. And I was like a little hesitant because we've been like really back and forth for like a long time. And I was just like, my gut was just feeling nervous about it for some reason. Maybe I should have listened to it, honestly. Well, I should have listened to it. I'm going to tell you why. But so what ended up happening was he was like, oh yeah, I really want to like move in with you, whatever. Because I had actually gotten a big girl job. And he was still in school, which is fine. And I think that he was like really wanting to see where the relationship could go. Or at least I thought he did at that time. I don't know exactly how I was feeling, but he was saying, oh yeah, I really want to like see where this connection could go, blah, blah, blah. And I was a little hesitant, but I was like, okay, let's try it. And so what happened was we ended up looking at a few apartments online, and then we met to go view an apartment downtown over by school. And I ended up liking a couple of places with him. And we were literally going to like sign some paperwork before. We even had like a budget too set. And literally the week after this, what, not even a week, not even 1 week after that, he broke up with me. And it was his idea. Like, what on earth? So ended up, but you want to know the big kicker? So I guess his friends actually really liked me. And we had some people that were like also mutual friends that they were dating that I knew from the sorority as well. So they actually were really good friends with me at that point too. But I ended up finding out that he was doing something shady like that weekend before he broke up with me. So he had actually gone to a hockey game with a girl from his work and blocked me on social media so I couldn't see what he was posting and getting tagged in. And yeah, so he was doing some shady stuff. And I'm like, dude, you literally were trying really hard. You brought it up that you wanted to settle down. You brought it up, not me. So I literally don't understand. But I have to say too that like I know I made a lot of mistakes too in this relationship, and it just really needed to break off like right away. I probably should have broke it off like literally in the first year, to be honest with you. But I think it was just like the timing and also like the immaturity on both sides there where we didn't really know. But now that I'm older and now that he's married or has a fiance, I can say this now. But I'm feeling so much better now without this relationship, and I've been just really trying to explore myself and figuring out like my standards. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. This relationship taught me about standards and what I will not accept anymore. So there's no way I would even want to date someone like this in the future. But I am very appreciative for the relationship and what it taught me. And it was definitely supposed to be a part of my path. So yeah, if you guys liked this, let me know. If you guys have any stories similar, let me know too. So if you guys like and enjoy, bye.